Hi everyone, it's Cindy Lee today, and I want to share with you the perfect customized complexion palette, especially for mature women. Because those of you who are seeing a little bit of aging sign, maybe fine lines, maybe a little more of a discoloration from age spots or broken blood vessels, it's really hard to find the perfect products that don't settle into our creases. So I am just going to talk to you about this wonderful palette. It includes, this is my personal one, you can see it's much loved, but this is a foundation along with 2 concealers. And these products are phenomenal. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I use them and why I love them so much. So I'm going to start with one of our concealers because let me back up a little bit. I always, before I use a foundation or a concealer, I make sure that I have my skincare on and I prime my face. Why do I prime? Because as we age, our pores maybe get a little bit larger, and it just really helps give us that nice finished palette. I like to use either a priming spray or a sunscreen with a primer in it. So whichever one works best for you, but ladies, you're going to find a much better finished product if you're using a primer first. So I like to start with my eyes, and I'm just going to show you a little bit because you can see I have a little darkness. It's like on there. I use color called 0, which is our lightest color, and I just dab that in there very, very light. And then when I'm going to come back over here, I am just going to use a little bit of a dabbing motion. It doesn't mean you can't swipe. It's kind of whatever's comfortable for you. And I want it to be very, very thin. And if you can, you should try to avoid the crease, but that's a little bit hard. My skin is not quite as tight as it used to be, so I'm just going to work around that a little bit. And look at the difference on how much brighter this eye looks than my eye over here. So now I'm going to do the same kind of thing with that little dabbing motion. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same, coming up in my brow, getting that inner corner. Very gently. Remember, the skin around your eye is so sensitive, and you need to be very, very gentle. I like to wiggle a little bit more right there in the crease because that's where, if I have some settling, that's where that is. Now you can see both of my eyes are so much brighter with putting just that concealer in to help brighten it up a little bit. Hi Tammy, thanks for watching. So now I'm going to take a little bit of number 2 concealer because my complexion color is an olive 1, and I'm going to come just down here on my nose under my eye, because I have a little more darkness. They aren't too dark, but the darker you have under your eyes, the more important for it is for you to use a concealer. Now the key to this is getting a concealer color. A lot of times people will start with maybe this lighter color, but when you bring the color under your eyes first to your complexion color, you're going to get a better look. So I'm just going to do that. I always like to conceal right around my nose, and I found that when I have to put on those reading glasses, for some of us who need those reading glasses, or if you're a glasses wearer all the time, I found that putting a concealer on really helped my foundation stay where those little prongs on your glasses are on your eyes. So I really like that. So I'm just doing a little bit. Again, I want to make sure I'm in that little corner of my eye. And you can see how it's like I have redness that's coming across my nose. So just look at the difference when you put a little bit of concealer. And I'm going to try not to lift my head so you don't have to look at my nostrils, because that's not a pretty sight for anybody, is it? It's like I'm just going to pat it, coming beneath those broken blood vessels. I have a little red spot right there on the tip, so I like to do that. But see how much that is bringing everything into the same color with I'm doing it. Now, would I have to use a concealer on these areas? No, you don't have to. But when I'm really looking for a long wear to last all day, I think that really makes a difference with the concealer. Now, the other place that I like to put some concealer is right here. I have quite a bit of creasing on the upper part of my lip. And again, I think that it makes it a little bit brighter. It doesn't get as dark in that crease when I put concealer. Just a very small amount. And the last place that I like to do it, because I have redness on my chin, is right here. Now, not everybody is going to want a concealer, but I love this Complexion palette because you save $10 when you purchase these all together. And if I wanted to, I could come out and I could just finish up with this concealer color on my face. But our foundation is so phenomenal and it doesn't settle in my creases. So I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand because it likes to warm up. Use my foundation brush. Now there's different ways that you can apply this. You could use a sponge, which I really like using a sponge. We have one that's like great, got a little tip. Let me just show it to you. It's right over here. You know, if you're a sponge person, then just my tips for you on doing this is first make sure you get it warmed up a little bit, and then you're going to roll it when you apply this, kind of pressing it into your skin and to your pores. So if you are a sponge person, find something with a little point where you can get right up by your eyes and also has a flat part where you can just kind of dab on the rest of your face. So that's how I would use a sponge to apply it. So when I'm using the foundation brush, I do like to warm it up. Now maybe you're a finger person and you can just like swipe some of that right onto your face. If you're doing that, I really encourage you to make sure you start with clean hands so that you don't have all those oils from your lotions or whatever on to kind of break down your foundation any. And then I'm just going to start applying that on my face. Now remember, when you're doing a foundation, and if you would love for me to match a foundation color for you, please send me a note or send me a message, drop a message below, and I'd be happy to color match you and get a couple of samples for you to try if you're interested in this product and you've not used it. But look how easy this goes on. It has such a soft, buttery feel. And you know, for some of us who are aging, we find that our skin gets so dry. Winter's coming up, and with winter, I sometimes use a little bit of Must Do. I don't always have to do that in the summer. But it gets such a great coverage that it's lightweight. It doesn't feel like I have anything on my skin at all. And I love how it just evens up all of my skin tones. Now, if you have a heavy hand, which I do sometimes, I like a buffer brush. And again, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to show you if this is the brush that you like to use. It's kind of a flat type brush. Then I do a swirling motion because particularly around my nose, when I'm pressing with this brush to get into all of those pores that have gotten a little bit bigger as I've aged, I like to do a little bit of swirling motion because I'm never left with a brush stroke, right? So again, going up, finishing that. Now, here is my best tip for you if you are suffering from any type of creasing. At this point, before I even go to my blush or anything else, I'm going to grab my finishing spray. Now, I like the Time Setter because it has a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit of a glow, and I think it gives my skin a much younger look. So I'm just going to spray a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to take my fingers, tap that in there, and I'm going to do a tapping motion. Now, why do I do this? Well, it really sets that into my skin, and it gives the powder, when I go to finish, a little bit more something to adhere to. I do that same type of thing on those areas that crease, not just under my eyes, but I like to do that around my nose. I don't know about you, because sometimes I would have something that might settle at the nose. Just tapping, 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 very light. And again, as you're around your eyes, be sure that you're tapping so light with all of that. Now, if you were done and you didn't want to do any other makeup, but you have any of those covers, you just spritz a little bit of that finishing spray all over your face and you can go. That's what I have for you today. If life gives you limes, be the light, and stay tuned because next I'm going to tell you about powders and foundation and blushes. See you soon.